Havamal, the words of Odin the High One, wisdom for wanderers and counsel to guests, verse 1. At every doorway, ere one enters, one should spy round, one should pry round. For uncertain is the witting that there be no foeman sitting within, before one on the floor.
And go.
Someday I should do the countdown like that BBC News presenter who was an absolute legend. Did you see the video of her?
What?
So she was like,
how did she count?
She was joking with like the cameraman, and they weren't rolling yet, and she was like 3, like a backwards V for people who can't see me. That is like fuck off. And she was doing 2, 1, and then the camera came on just as she was doing this to like the whole nation.
Oh my God, what a nightmare.
She was forced to like apologize on Twitter. People were calling for her resignation.
Oh my God, it was a joke.
But as somebody very rightfully pointed out, like the BBC has covered up Jimmy Savile, so they're hardly going to fire her for like a little joke between her colleagues. Plus, like, she released the whole video.
Yeah,
it was really funny. She seems like good fun.
And like, yeah, so cheers.
Cheers. Oh, Emily's broken out the Coke. Full fat Coke. She means business.
I was gonna say it's not real sugar though. It's definitely like high fructose corn syrup. Oh yeah, for sure. God forbid we make stuff with like real ingredients here.
Have you seen the comparison of the two Fantas?
No.
American versus European Fanta? Like the American one looks like radioactive and it's sort of see-through, whereas our Fanta is like, it looks like fizzy orange juice.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is so weird.
I think...
Yeah, yours just looks like orange juice.
Yeah, European, I think, is... It's got oranges in it, but it's also coloured with, like, carrot juice or something. It's like, that's how they get it. Because there's so many, like, artificial colours banned here. So they have to get them from something natural.
Yeah. That is so crazy how, like, in the US, it's like, oh yeah, it's banned everywhere else in the world, but we'll still use it. It's fine.
Yeah. But you guys have some cool stuff that we can't get. Like, our teeth whitening stuff sucks.
Probably because it's healthier.
Yeah, there's like actual bleach in it, but like in American teeth whitening strips, but like, oh, those Crest White strips, my God. Also, I heard that they're like reducing the amount of retinol that they can put in beauty products. Excuse me. Well, like retinol can be slightly damaging. Like you can't go out without sunscreen on after. Because it can interfere with your skin's ability to protect itself from the sun. So I think that's part of it. They're just limiting the percentage that you can have in certain beauty products. So
like you could get burned more easily.
Yeah, you're more susceptible to sun damage and skin cancer if you go out.
Okay. I mean, especially for you, Irish people.
Yeah.
You need that. You need them to water it down a little for you.
An entire nation of people who are vitamin D deficient because we don't get enough sun. Like, everybody here is deficient in vitamin D. Like, it's just a known thing.
My doctor just told me, they're like, oh, you're pretty heavily vitamin D deficient. I'm like, that's cool. Mm-hmm. They said, please take a supplement.
I started taking a supplement every day, and it's annoyingly helpful. Like, I definitely, if I forget to take it for a few days, I definitely feel like my mood decreasing. Yeah. Which is nuts.
That's probably why I have problems with my mood.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of getting one of those, the seasonal affective disorder lamps, just to have on my desk while I work from home.
Do you think those help?
I don't know, but they seem to have worked. Like, they seem to be around for a long time.
Yeah, could just be like snake oil. I don't know.
Salt lamps.
Yeah.
What? I've heard that there's no like scientific backup for salt lamps.
Right. Yeah. I don't think there is either, but I like how they look. That's the
beautiful.
Only reason I like them. I'm like, oh, they're pretty though. Yeah.
There's a beautiful glow.
It's nice warmth as opposed to overhead lighting. Throwback.
Yes, I dare. I'm going to buy so many lamps when I move house.
You don't even know.
Yeah, I'm just going to take out all of the overhead light bulbs. Like, I don't know what happened. They're all disconnected.
It is helpful to have overhead lighting, but
yeah, when you're looking for something.
We were just at Medardo's cousin's house, and they have like all the bedrooms don't have overhead lighting, so it's like you have to plug the lamp into the right outlet to make the switch work for it.
Oh, okay.
Like, that would make me crazy.
Yeah,
or I don't even know if that's how that works. But yeah, I would Like, that would be hard. Like, I need a light. Because you have to go in the room, turn the light on, go in the room, turn the lamps on, then turn the overhead light off.
Yeah. And also, like, for the amount of times I lose the remote, like, I definitely need an overhead light because lamps are not cutting it for when I'm, like, throwing pillows everywhere. Going, where is it? Why are Amazon Fire Stick remotes so tiny?
The Apple TV remotes are obnoxiously small.
I actually put a tile tracker on our Amazon remote because we had lost it so many times. But then the glue came unstuck. I must actually get super glue for it.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting Velcro or something on ours because it's like, it's so small and skinny and slippery. It's always missing.
Yeah. They're ridiculous. And you should be able to, like, call them or something. I don't know. Come on, Jeff Bezos.
Honey, can you call the remote?
I would be lost without tile trackers. Like, I have one of my keys. I have my phone is obviously connected. So if I find my keys and I can't find my phone, I can just press my tile tracker and it rings my phone. I can also ring my phone from my watch. What else do I have my tile tracker on? I have a credit card size one in my wallet, one in my hand luggage, and one in my regular luggage, and one in my backpack.
Medardo has I'm assuming it's the same thing, like the Apple Air tags or whatever you can put on stuff. Yeah. He has one for his keys and one on his wallet.
Yeah. They're a lifesaver.
Because he loses them all the time.
The amount of times I was, like, late for stuff because I just couldn't find my keys. And I'm just like, I only have 2 bags. I usually put them in one of them. And, like, more often than not, it's like,
where could it be?
Buried at the bottom of my bag. There was just other stuff on top, shuffled around.
You need a giant skunk tail keychain like I have.
My mum has ones that are like bunny tail ones. It's so cute that every time she comes to my house, my cat, like, sticks his head in her handbag.
Oh, no.
To get it out, and he just pulls it out with his teeth and just, like, wanders off with her keys. It's like, how does he's seen it once and he always knows that it's in there. Like, he remembered all that time.
Funny.
Yeah.
They try to trick you into thinking that they're not smart, but they really are.
They remember everything.
So, like, the cats are like, oh, look, I'm dumb. And then
it's like one time he was locked in our little laundry room. And now every time I go in there, he sits outside of it screaming at me because he thinks I'm going to get locked in there too.
Oh, poor thing.
He's trying to protect me. But I'm just like,
yeah,
I can open the door.
At least he cares. You can't.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome to episode 31
of Rowan and Pine.
It's the Witchcraft miniseries.
And in case you couldn't tell the difference between our voices, this voice is Emily's.
And this voice is Neve.
I definitely don't think we're the podcast where you can't tell the hosts apart.
Especially because I have a weird name too. So
I don't think it matters the names.
I have an Irish name and it's weird. So they're like, oh, the Irish one. The one with the Irish accent.
Oh, to remember the names?
Yeah, that's how people will know who's who. I assume.
Yeah. I mean, but your name isn't weird for an Irish person, is it?
No, not at all. It's very common.
Okay.
It's like
so the
Sarah.
Irish listeners are like, Emily.
Emily with an Leigh. You guys know Emily loves alternative spellings of common names. It's her favorite thing.
Oh my gosh. Just the baby name stuff. I'm sure it drives everybody else nuts, but having just had a child, I think it makes me even more crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this to them?
It feels like such an obvious attempt at being individual, but it's also very cliche. Like, that's the thing. If you really want an unusual name, pick an unusual name. Don't, like, have a regular name that will intentionally be spelled wrong forever because people are used to the regular way of spelling it.
Yeah. It's annoying.
We're ranting already and it's 10 minutes in.
Wisdom for wanderers and counsel to guests, verse 68. Most dear is fire to the sons of men, most sweet the sight of the sun. Good is health if one can but keep it, and to live a life without shame.
Emily, what are we talking about today?
Today I'm covering Norse witches.
I'm excited for this one.
Good. It was interesting. I didn't know that they really had sort of like official forms of witchcraft, but they did. I thought they just were big into their mythology.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, sorry, that was just such a shit reaction. That's cool.
It was the pause in between that got to me. I just looked up at you and you just, yeah, that's cool. So the Norse were people who lived in the region of the world where present-day Scandinavia is. These countries are Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. The term Norse refers to settlers, traders, farmers, and seafarers who originally hailed from Northern Europe. When people think of the word Norse, they typically think of the Vikings or Odin.
Odin. It's just so cool, the whole like thing of mythology. There's just, I don't know. It's annoying that so many white supremacists have taken over runes and stuff like that.
Almost the entire time I was doing this research, I was like, fucking white supremacists, man.
It's a whole like rich culture, and they should be able to, like, people from Nordic regions should be able to celebrate it and all of that. But then you've got these fucking assholes who will come in and go, well, we know all of these people were definitely white, so we're going to take it over, you know? That's the only reason they like it.
Yeah. Right, it's really depressing. I think runes are so cool, but now they've got like this such a dark association that it's so depressing. Ugh. Oh my god. Anyway, because Odin comes up in this episode, I'm going to give a quick rundown for who he is, because I don't think everybody knows who Odin is. So, if you don't, he's the main god in Norse mythology. He's known as the All-Father. He's the chief of Norse gods. His wife is Frigg. Balder and Thor are his sons. He's considered a god of many things, more than most gods. But above all, he's the god of war and the dead. He's not a warrior, but he would help those in battle. He has the Valkyries, who are supernatural warrior women who would bring those slain in battle to his warrior paradise, Valhalla, which is, quote-unquote, the Hall of the Slain. Like, that's, oh my god,
that's just so cool by itself. The Hall of the Slain.
Are you going later to the Hall of the Slain?
I love that you were like, he is the main god. It's like, he's the main character.
He's like,
like
the
that
main
Gen
guy.
Z, like, hair behind the ear. I'm the main character. Odin is just like, if he was around, he would film himself on public transport, like just looking longingly out the window. You know?
Oh no. Yeah. With an inspirational
piano music.
Quote.
And like just sitting there, just assuming everybody's falling in love with him. Yeah. That's what him and Zeus would have in common.
Odin seems like he's like probably not as full of himself as Zeus seemed like he
seems
was.
like Odin, I don't know why I get this. Maybe it's because Anthony Hopkins plays him in the Marvel movies. Odin gives me disappointed dad vibes. Because he just seems to be like, he's got a lot on his plate and he's just like, oh.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a grumpy old man. So another thing that I'm going to talk about in this episode are the Norns. They're called the Norns or the Nornir. In Old Norse, they're also known as the weavers of fate for all mortals, gods, and giants. So the Norns decide the fate of all the beings in the 9 realms. They're believed to be the daughters of dwarves, elves, or Jotun maidens. The Norns are said to show up when a baby is born and use their magic to weave the fate of the baby throughout their life and beyond.
Aww.
Their names are Urd, Verdandi, and Skuld. Urd meaning fate or what has passed. She's the oldest and looks like a crone, which would be kind of like the past. Verdandi is what is passing into being. She is young looking and she sort of represents the present. Skuld means what shall come to pass. She is the one that people fear the most. The other 2 sisters work to weave the fates, and she's the one who can tear it all apart. She represents the future.
Ooh.
Spooky. She's a spooky babe.
That's like weirdly metaphorical too. You can work as hard as you want, but like your future is still up for debate. You know?
Right. Yeah,
your future can fall apart if you don't take heed of your past and your present, you know?
Yeah. And you just don't know what the future will bring. I was just talking to a friend about this, about putting lots of money away for when you get older. It's kind of one of those things that feels like, yeah, you should be prepared, but there's also an element of it that's kind of like, you don't know if you're going to be around the future to use all that money.
I always think this. And I always think about, you know, they say that like a lot of people, once they stop working is when they start getting really sick. Once they hit retirement age, their body just doesn't know what to do when they're not like working and stuff anymore. It's so devastating that so many people like reach retirement age and then either die or like have a debilitating event. And you're just like, you worked your whole life for that. It's shit.
Yeah, it's really
There's a song by that band, Ways Away. It's called Working Class Suicide Pact. And it's all about that. It's just being like, is this all there is? And I'm like, I think the line is like working 50 years for a hole in the ground. And I'm just like, oh. Dark, but also very true in a lot of contexts.
Neve's putting in her notice on Monday. Your husband can work to support you.
That's actually what I was thinking. Like, say actors or whatever, they get suddenly famous. Would you feel comfortable, like, giving up your job and letting them support you? Like, say, for me, I spent so fucking long in college. If you and suddenly got really, really famous or something and, like, had to support me, how would I feel about living off of them?
Yeah, like, would you keep working?
I don't think I would, though.
Hell no, you'd enjoy it.
But then you see, also, there's a lot of these men, especially, who get famous and just dump their wives.
Oh, that's
Barry
cute.
Keoghan broke up with his baby mama.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and now he's dating a 22-year-old. Good for him.
How old is he?
30.
Oh, that's not the worst.
Yeah,
but
it's not too bad.
it's not a Leo.
And also, I don't know the context of their breakup either. Maybe
Right.
she broke up with him. Maybe she was like sick of his shit.
Yeah, we don't know. But what we do know is that we're talking about the Norse witchcraft. So the word Norn, with a lowercase n, was also the term that people used for someone who was a witch. So it was the Norns.
So capital N
Yeah.
was the famous ones, and then nice.
Lowercase n, that was the ladies that were chilling, getting herbal remedies and things like that. The kind of magic that was practiced in Old Norse society during the late Scandinavian Iron Age was called seiðr. This was in pre-Christian times. This type of magic was mostly practiced by women, whereas other types of magic or sorcery, as I'll talk about further on in the episode, was practiced by men or women. If men were to practice seiðr, they were bullied or looked down upon because it was seen as unmanly or effeminate.
Oh, fuck off.
Right? Masculinity and honor was rooted deeply in Viking culture. Men who practiced seiðr were at risk of being labeled arger, which was the term that was used to describe a man who had abandoned his traditional masculine roles. Isn't that fun?
So they've always had a word for this. Like, the worst thing you can be is like girly or effeminate. And they probably
Right.
weren't even. They were probably just male nurses, you know?
Right.
Like, male nurses are completely able to, like, carry out caring duties.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't understand
A bit
the
of man
like
is nurturing.
the quote unquote man or woman jobs.
Yeah.
But if a man were to practice it, they could lose their social standing. This would mean he could risk losing alliances or forming alliances. He could also risk finding a suitable marriage partner. It's theorized that the reason it was seen as quote unquote unmanly was because of the association with the Norns, who were weavers. In Viking culture, strictly women would weave threads.
Okay. But
Men can't be weavers.
what the fuck?
And even though this was the case, some men still practice seiðr, including the All-Father, Odin.
Okay, so he's the biggest manly man of all.
The manliest man ever.
Yeah. He's the disappointed dad. Come on.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell somebody's disappointed dad that they're girly?
You're right. I feel like the disappointed dad is like the picture of manliness.
They're like the one at the retirement home that's picking up a cool craft going, yeah, I've always liked crocheting.
My mom taught me when I was a kid. It reminds me of her.
You know, like the Hells Angels when they'll be like picking up something that's traditionally like feminine. Try telling them that they're feminine.
You wouldn't. Seiðr may have been influenced by other indigenous cultures such as the Sami or the Finno-Ugric. The main purpose of seiðr was divination and communication with other realms.
Because if there's the one thing the Vikings were able to do was travel.
In space and time.
They were very good at getting on boats.
The Norns were masters of seiðr because of their ability to weave someone or some being's fate. They were all powerful. Female practitioners of seiðr were called volvas or seiðkonur. Freya is the archetype of the volva, as she is a practitioner of seiðr. It was Freya who brought this art form to the gods. Volvas would wander from village to village performing commissioned acts of magic in exchange for room, board, and other necessities. The volva were set apart from society. They were powerful and respected by the upper echelons of society, but they were simultaneously sought after, feared, high-ranked, and reviled. They had status in our world and access to other realms both above and below. They played essential roles in society due to offering guidance and protection to the community through the practice of magic.
I would like to be a Wolva when I grow up. Is it vulva or vulva?
It's like vulva.
Vulva.
I know. I was like, what? It's like two W's,
Vulva.
but like kind of like a soft V sound.
Okay.
Vulva. Vulva.
I would like to be a vulva when I break up. When I grow up.
When you what?
I would like to be one. Because that sounds great. You're powerful. You're sought after. You're kind of rich. You probably get invited to really good parties. And when you get to those parties, you can freak everybody out by standing in the corner with your hood up.
People think you're kind of upsetting and mysterious, and like you don't want people to love you completely.
Yeah. And like you're too scary to not be invited to things.
Yeah.
But also too scary to like be fully involved, so people will leave you the fuck alone. Also, I'm imagining far too much eyeliner. Definitely too much eyeliner and something like painted on the forehead, I'm assuming.
They probably have like a long, cool dress. Mm-hmm. There was actually, I found pictures and they had like a lot of cool stuff that they would have on them. Let me see if I have it. Wait, I will just put it in the chat. So they would have these like pendants that they would wear on a belt, and they were duck foot shaped pendants that were made of silver. It was cool. I don't really know. It doesn't really say what it was representing or anything like that.
So that's how they denoted when they found the graves that it was like somebody who had power or was thought to have had power.
Yeah, or like somebody who practiced magic.
Wow.
Or practiced seiðr. And they had like specific ways that they were buried.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an understated, like almost like a mark of office, or like showing that this is like this is who this person was. Like she had status, but it wasn't like, it's not like, you know, loads of like jewelry and loads of different stuff buried with her. Like clearly she lived like a simple enough life, even if she was highly respected.
Right. Yeah, so it was a way to distinguish them from other people, but it's not like she was buried in like King Tut's tomb surrounded by gold and things like that.
Yeah.
The Wolwa were masters of different types of techniques, such as divination, healing, and manipulating the threads of fate. In addition to practicing magic, they were also counselors and mediators when other people were having disputes. This made them even more of a respectable part of their society.
Cool. So they got to know everybody's gossip on top of everything else. Yeah.
Right? They were also therapists. Practicing a seiðr ritual often required the practitioner to enter an altered state of consciousness or a trance so that they could travel between realms and communicate with different beings. This was such an important part of the process because it could bridge the gap between our world, the living, waking, physical realm, and the supernatural realm. They would enter a trance state by drumming, chanting, or eating psychoactive substances found in certain plants. In these altered states of mind, they could gain insights into the past, present, and future. During the trance, they would receive visions, journey to other worlds within Norse cosmology,
Amazing.
Or even communicate with spirits. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm just like, can
like
I
just
do this? Can
sitting
I
around, like when you
find a
think
job
about
like this?
there's like all those people in Silicon Valley who are like microdosing and stuff now. Because they believe it, like, yeah, it helps their creativity. That's the equivalent now.
And they're rich.
It helps me unlock my creativity.
Are they
going to
sorcerers?
Asgard.
Being able to practice this kind of sorcery helped them provide insight on the present-day physical world to those who did not have access to other realms or moments in time. The practitioners could also use seiðr to communicate with the gods, the dead, and other entities to seek guidance or gain knowledge. In addition to all of this, they could use their magic to access the altar. Oh my god. In addition to all of this, they could use their magic to access and alter the Norse threads of fate.
Yeah, you could ask them to intervene on certain things.
Yeah, like they could use their magic to try to intervene on.
That would be handy
what
if
is,
you,
what is
like,
your
say the love of your
determined
life
fate.
was about to marry somebody else. And you're like, no.
Wait.
Can't crash the wedding from here, but you could
It's
do
not
this.
their fate.
What if like your pet was getting really old and you
That
thought
would
it
be
was
so
gonna die
great.
soon? No. Yeah.
Can you make it live forever?
Only if it's healthy forever.
It's like, yeah, hold on. They light a cigarette. Stacking onto an already impressive resume, the Wolwes could use their magic for protection and healing, often acting as a medicine man or woman or person because of their use of herbs, runes, and other magical techniques. The tools that seiðr practitioners used were staffs and distaffs, as well as symbols to aid in their rituals. As with magic in most other cultures, past and present, symbols and objects act as conduits for magic and spells. The design and construction of these ritual items often incorporated deep meaning, reflecting the cosmological beliefs and principles of the Norse people. For instance, a seiðr practitioner might adorn their staff with runes, symbols of the gods or other iconography that held particular significance for the individual or their community. These intricately designed items not only served as functional tools, also as powerful symbols of the practitioner's connection to the spiritual world. Another type of magic performed in this period of time and region was called galdr. This type of magic was acceptable for men to perform, probably because they weren't weaving anything. The difference between seiðr and galdr. Seiðr is shamanistic, and it involves altered states of consciousness. It involves fate manipulation, divination, healing, hidden realms, threads of fate, and mostly women practice seiðr. Galdr focuses on runes, incantations, chants, reciting runic formulas as poems to invoke specific outcomes, and mostly men do it. So women weren't doing Galdr.
I'm just biased,
as
but
much
it sounds
as
a
they were
lot
doing
less
seiðr.
intricate than seiðr. Seiðr seems to be a lot more about like personal relationships and like day-to-day life and stuff. That's just my first observation.
Yeah, to me, seiðr feels like more intuitive and more, like, it makes sense why more women would practice it. It just seems more kind of like sensitive and quiet, just because it involved, it was more involved like working one-on-one, whereas galdr was like this big sort of thing. They would have these big ceremonies and stuff like that, and like the chanting and the drumming and all of that kind of stuff. So of course men are like, I need all eyes on me. The best galdr practitioners could use their magic to raise and question the dead. In the Hovmal, his powers range from healing the ill to making a corpse come down from the gallows tree to converse as though he is alive.
From a Song of Spells, verse 156, a 12th I know, if high on a tree I see a hanged man swing, so do I write and colour the runes. That forth he fares, and to me talks.
Oh, I would like to see that.
Yeah. Okay, come on, Odin. Show us your magic. Even though galdr and seiðr had differences, they were the same in many aspects. Both were integral to the spiritual beliefs of the Vikings and played significant roles in their society. Both relied on deep understanding of mythology, symbolism, and Norse cosmology. Both were risky in the sense that people who practiced both kinds of magic could be feared or persecuted by others in society who were unhappy for whatever reason. They had to work hard to navigate the complexities of Viking society and their beliefs in magic. And they also had to navigate the manliness.
The toxic masculinity.
Terrible. Yeah, I feel like
again.
the Vikings are like prime example of toxic masculinity. Both of these types of magic give us insight into the Vikings' beliefs and relationship with the supernatural world.
It's so like fascinating that there's such a rich world of like Norse mythology and witchcraft, considering when I was researching for my Witch Trials episode, which is coming up next, I actually came across a Swedish witch trial, which some people might have heard of. I heard of it in passing. I know there's a few podcasts that might have covered it. The largest witch trial in Swedish history and one of the largest mass killings of witches in recorded history saw 71 accused witches, including 65 females, or roughly 1/5 of all women in the region, beheaded and burned in a single day. And this took place in Torshaker in Sweden between 1674 and 1675. A little bit of background on it. Minister Laurentius Christophori Hornius of the Eterlanus.
What a name.
I know.
Wait, it was his last name Hornius?
Hornius, yeah. Was instructed to investigate witchcraft within his parish. He ordered 2 young boys to stand at the doors and investigate witches by the invisible devil's mark on their forehead as they walked into the church.
The invisible devil's mark.
Yeah. Do you want to know how badly this backfired on him? One of the people identified was the minister's wife. Yeah. This was very quickly hushed up. It's like, no, everybody but my wife. That's fine.
Wait. Just kidding.
Just kidding. The accused witches were suspected of abducting children and taking them to Satan's Sabbath, which is 8 festivals celebrated by Wiccans and Neo-pagans at Blockula, which is a meadow popular in Swedish folklore. We should actually look into Blockula a little bit because it seems to be like an amazing historic site.
That's what I covered this in a previous episode. I don't remember. It's spelled Blakula, right?
I have Block, but I could be wrong. Blockula in Swedish folklore was said to be where the devil held court. So they did a great job of extracting testimonies through whippings, forced bathing in frozen lakes by threats to bake the children in an oven. There were very few records of these trials, and the primary source was recorded 60 years after their conclusion by the grandson of Minister Hornius. So, might be a few embellishments there.
Yeah.
The grandson recorded his grandmother's eyewitness account to the proceedings, which I can't remember stuff from like 20 years ago. So she's recording 60 years back. The trials were...
we trust her. Just kidding.
Yeah. The trials were in truth thought to have shaky legitimacy since the commission and local courts failed to report the death sentences to a higher court before carrying them out. It's almost like they just wanted to go rogue and start beheading all of these women. So, damn, Sweden, what happened? How did you go from all this runic and divination and threads of fate to massacring 65 women? 1/5 of all the women in the region?
Yeah, you had people working with Odin and Freya, and then you just turned on them?
Well, we know what happened.
You know why?
It was the church.
Capital T.
Capital T. Capital C. The church.
TM.
The church ruins the party again. And forever. So yes, if that whet your appetite a little bit for some witch trial content, you're going to have a whole episode of it in 2 weeks. If you'd like to come back then. We think it'll be pretty good.
I think it'll be decent.
I think it'll be decent. I have a hunch. As always, please get in touch if you have any comments, questions, feedback. If there's anything that we cover that you want to know more about, if you'd like a mini episode, you get to do that because we're very easily reachable. We're not like those big, like, intimidating podcasts that you send them a DM and they'll never see it. We'll see it.
Yeah. They never respond.
We respond.
They go, you guys got us to where we wanted to go, and now we are too good to respond to you.
They mumbled bitterly.
No, we are very grateful for all the people who like our podcast.
If you like our podcast, if you've left a review, if you've left a rating, if you've left a comment, if you've engaged with anything that we've put on social media, thank you so much. And keep doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. We love it.
All of our contact details are in the description, as always, along with our sources.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming along on our journey through all of these different witches and their practices and their sorceries and their runes and all the fun stuff that they do. Their herbal cabinets.
Would you like a herbal cabinet?
I did say herb on purpose.
Yeah. It sounded better. Just saying.
I had a friend when I was a kid whose mom had a friend named Herb.
Oh, God. Was that a man?
Yeah.
Oh, like Herbert?
Oh, maybe. Because I was
Must
like, Herb. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Weird thing to know.
And I think...
Herb would be a
like,
good name for an old dog.
Yeah, it really would be. Because I remember telling my mom, I was like, oh, we're going to like her friend's house and he's got a swimming pool. His name is Herb. And my mom was like, Herb? It's not Herb. Anywho.
Okay. Herb, if you're listening, let us know.
Yeah. What up, Herb? Thanks for letting us swim in your pool.
Okay, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
I'm
Fuck
Emily.
Yeah, folklore, I've been Neve. I always forget to say it first. I didn't forget.
This end is a mess.
I've been Neve.
I'm Emily. Fuck yeah, folklore. Bye,
Fuck yeah,
everybody.
folklore. Bye. Oh, God.
Wisdom for wanderers and counsel to guests, verse 68. Most dear is fire to the sons of men, most sweet the sight of the sun. Good is health if one can but keep it, and to live a life without shame.
Do you want me to do the witch trial thing first, or?
With your banshee bones in your mouth, please.